Welcome to the Backing Up Enterprise Vault training module. This module has been updated for Enterprise Vault versions 9 and 10 and is also relevant for version 8. Enterprise Vault allows you to put index locations and vault stores into backup mode for the duration of a data backup. Once Enterprise Vault is in backup mode, a third-party application, such as Backup Exec or NetBackup, can be used to back up the Enterprise Vault data. During this time, there are no additions to the index locations or the vault store locations. However, users can continue to search and retrieve items from their archives. If you do not use a third-party application, such as Backup Exec or NetBackup with a SQL agent to back up the SQL Server databases for Enterprise Vault, then you can back up the databases manually or by configuring an automatic backup mode. In this demonstration, we will take a look at backing up the Enterprise Vault databases using SQL scripts and stored procedures. We are on a Windows 2008 server using SQL 2008. To begin, we must first click the Start button, and then click All Programs, select Microsoft SQL Server 2008, and finally SQL Server Management Studio. When the Connect to Server window opens, verify that the server name and authentication methods are correct, and then click the Connect button. Once available, expand Databases. Here we can see the Enterprise Vault databases. We will now take a look at the scripts that are used to create the view and the stored procedure necessary to back up Enterprise Vault. These scripts can be found in the following tech notes. I have downloaded the scripts, and they can be found in this demonstration in the ev9_10_scripts folder. We will first click the view_vaultstorebackup.sql file, as this will create the view necessary for the stored procedure to back up the databases. This file will open up in SQL Management Studio as it is a .sql extension. We can see here that the view will be created, and the following tables will be used to select the information required to back up the Enterprise Vault databases. It is important to note that the table names have changed from version 8 to version 9. The correct view_vaultstore backup script must be run to gather the correct information. We will first select the Enterprise Vault directory database by selecting the drop-down list, and then choose Enterprise Vault directory from the list. Then click the Execute button to process the script. We can then verify the view was installed by expanding the Enterprise Vault directory database, then expanding Views, and then scroll down the list until we find dbo.view_vaultstorebackup. To list what the view will generate, right-click on the list and select Top 1000 Rows. This will display the SQL Server name and the database name for each database. We will now execute the SQL script to create the stored procedure used to back up the Enterprise Vault databases. We must first click on the ev9_10_scripts folder. Then double-click the ASPA_backup_ev_databases.sql file to open in SQL Management Studio. Once the script is loaded, click the Execute button against the Enterprise Vault directory to add the stored procedure. We can now verify that the stored procedure was created by expanding Programmability under the Enterprise Vault directory database, and then selecting Stored Procedures. We can see that the dbo.aspa_backup_ev_databases stored procedure does exist. We will now execute the stored procedure by first opening a new query window. To save time, I will be opening the command options from a saved file. We can see here that the parameters for the directory SQL Server, the backup folder, the user, and the user's password have been specified. In this case, we are using the Vault Service account. We must verify that the backup folder location exists or the backup will not succeed. We will check this by first clicking the Start button, then selecting Computer, expanding Computer and clicking on the C drive. We can see that the backup folder does exist. Returning to SQL Management Studio, we will execute the stored procedure against the Enterprise Vault directory database. From the Messages pane, we can see that the stored procedure looks to have been successful. We will verify this by returning to the backup folder. Once in the backup folder, we can see that there are .bak files for each of the Enterprise Vault databases. These files were created within the last minute according to the system time. We can also verify that the stored procedure ran properly by going to the Event Viewer application log. First, we must click the Server Manager button. To save time, I have already expanded Diagnostics Event Viewer Windows Logs to display the application log. We will now select the application log. Once in the application log, we can see a series of 18264 events. We will now double-click the top event to display the details. From here, we can see the details on the database backup for the Enterprise Vault directory database. Returning to SQL Management Studio, I will collapse the Enterprise Vault directory database so that we can look into creating a SQL Server agent job to back up the databases on a schedule. We will then expand SQL Server Agent. Before creating the SQL Server Agent job, we will first copy the contents of the script we ran to perform the backup. We will then right-click on Jobs and select New Job from the menu. The New Job window will open. You must then type a name for the job, in this case EV_backup. We will click in the description box and add a description for this job. We will then select Steps and click the New button to add a step. The step must be given a name. I have named this step Backup EV. Confirm that the type is transact-SQL script. The database name needs to be changed to the Enterprise Vault directory database. Select Paste to add the contents of the script we copied from SQL Management Studio into the command window. Verify that the command syntax is correct and click the OK button. Next, we will set a schedule for the job to run by first clicking on Schedules. Click New to create a schedule. The New Job Schedule window will open. We will then give the schedule a name. I have given the schedule the name EV_backup_schedule. We will set the schedule to occur daily and set the occurs once at time to 1 a.m. and click the OK button to create the schedule. We have added the necessary components for this job, and we will now click the OK button to create the job. Rather than waiting until 1 a.m. for the job to run, we will run the job manually by expanding Jobs, then locating the EV_backup job we just created, right-click on the job, and select Start Job at Step from the menu. The job will begin to process the backup. Once the job completes successfully, click the Close button. We will confirm that the backup ran successfully by returning to the backup folder. From the .bak files, we can see that the date modified matches the current system time, indicating that the backup was successful. We will again confirm this by going to Event Viewer within Server Manager. Since Server Manager was open and the application log was being viewed, we must click Refresh in order to see the new messages. We can again see the 18264 events occurring at 8:11 a.m. We will double-click the top event to view the details. Again, we can see that the backup of the Enterprise Vault directory database was successful. This concludes the demonstration of using SQL stored procedures to back up the Enterprise Vault databases. Thank you for your time.